I grew my business with a teeny tiny email list. It was an active list. It was committed list, but it was a teeny tiny list. Okay. And it was part of an overall marketing strategy. I would integrate it with my social media and my direct outreach and referrals and really tapping my existing network as well. In fact, my initial launch of my business and the seeding of my list all came from people that I knew, friends and family. And that really helped get the party started, if you will. So when I started doing email marketing, I had a really teeny tiny list. And for all intensive purposes, I shouldn't have grown my business to over 7 figures, but I did, even with a teeny tiny list. So I want you to know that email marketing works even if you have a small list, and it needs to be part of an overall marketing strategy because it's not the only thing I did. Okay. So when I first started doing email newsletters, I took for frickin' ever to write my newsletters. So I was incredibly afraid of judgment, of saying the wrong thing. I was stuck in perfectionism, and it would take me 4 days to write a newsletter, and I was trying to get one out every week. So you can see I was putting a lot of love and attention into it, but maybe I should have been putting some energy into some other things as well. That's probably not a great use of your time, right? So I've subsequently gotten much better at writing quickly. And I've also learned how to hire people who get my voice, and that has saved time. So the evolution there was I had to close the gap on time and really write those newsletters faster. Now, I will say that it was very useful for me to learn how to write newsletters. I needed to learn how to write in a way that emotionally connected with people, that shared my authenticity, and that moved people to, one, open my newsletters again and again and again so they stayed in my community, but also for them to take action and want to work with me. So learning that skill set has helped me tremendously. So it was not time lost, if you will. It was well spent to some degree. Okay. The things that I want you to know on a very basic level was that I evolved my newsletter over time. It had different layouts, different looks and feel, even different topics. But I really always wrote from my voice, and I always had in mind my ideal client's perspective and needs, what they were really challenged with and looking to solve. And I was always creating a combination of inspiration and calling out the problem. So it can't just be all rainbows and unicorns. You have to articulate what the challenge is for people so that they know that they have a problem that they need to solve and that you have the expertise to do that. I also always created consistency in my newsletters. I learned early on, even before I started studying the spiritual laws of the universe, that people like consistency. So you don't want to send a newsletter out on Monday one week and Thursday the next week and Tuesday the following week. You want it to be consistent. Pick a day and time and be consistent about it. Your clients may not actually recognize that you're doing it at the same time every time you send a newsletter out, but there's something in being consistent and working in an ordered fashion that people resonate with, and they start to know you, like you, and trust you as they become familiar with your cadence. And that cadence and keeping it consistent is a way of building trust. It's a unconscious way that you keep your word to others. So it's an unspoken commitment. It's an unspoken promise that you send your newsletter out on Tuesday morning at 6. If you choose that time, then you want to do that consistently because it's a way of keeping your word with your audience. And from a spiritual law perspective, the universe loves order. Orders heaven's first law, okay? And it builds trust, and it's like a gateway to higher elements in the universe like beauty and love. Okay. So keep your word to your clients. Now we send out newsletters much more frequently. Our cadence is much more frequent, but even just recently we send email newsletters to people on our newsletter list, and they love them, and we have great open rates, and it's very well received. And we also send a newsletter that's very special, and beautiful graphics and all sorts of love and attention is put into it once a month to our Spirit of Wealth Mastermind and Masterclass. And this is I bring this up because this is a lesson in consistency and order. So the team was going to send it out on the 2nd, and I was like, no, you hold the line. You do not let that deadline slip. And that is because the universe loves order. So even if there's other things going on, like we had a big event and the team wanted other details, they were waiting on some details to put into the newsletter. I was like, we get this out. It's all prepped and ready to go. And that needs to be scheduled and out the door. And you need to understand that there's a deadline there so that you get everything done and keep that deadline, because our clients, even if they don't know it consciously, we are keeping our word to our clients by keeping consistent with when we send this out. It's very, very important. Sounds like it's a small detail, but you're going to want to do this. Trust me on this. Okay. The first thing that you want to do is figure out the topics that you want to cover in your email marketing. And these are generally the topics that you would cover in your social media marketing as well. If you do podcasting or guest speaking, or you're speaking on stages, these are the topics that you cover. So those topics need to relate to both you, like if you think of a Venn diagram, you is in one circle and your audience is in the other circle. And the sweet spot is that crossover between what you love to teach and what you love to talk about and what you love to write about, and what your audience really needs to scale and grow and wants to learn about. So